So you've seen the big arc lights here, the flashy cameras, but beyond all of this, journalism is all about hard work. So if you have it in you to make a name for yourself in this hyper-competitive industry, then let CNN News 18 be your platform.
Good morning and welcome to today's edition of The Breakfast Club. Today's topic is a peek into the future. We've discussed AI plenty of times on this show. But today on the show, we wanted to take a look at a new phenomenon. One in which not just young Indians, middle-aged Indians are increasingly using AI and AI chatbots. So open platforms like ChatGPT or more specific chatbots for romance and for companionship. What's leading them to do this? What are the pitfalls and are there any advantages? It's a very, very interesting discussion we have for you with the founder of one of the country's most prominent GPT platforms. We also have on a very experienced therapist to bring us her experience. But Kritsween, apart from that, what are we taking a look at?
Apart from that, we're going to take a look at the man behind this book. This is Viksit Bharat, India 2047. You've heard about this election after election. This pretty much is a vision the government of the day has laid out repeatedly. But what does it take to become Viksit at 2047? Aditya Pitti joins us this morning on The Breakfast Club, and he'll talk about how the story is not all about economic metrics. It goes much beyond that. What are those factors? We're going to break it down with him.
So we're looking at the personal and the national today in a sense. Let's take a look very quickly first at the headlines.
Let's talk about AI companions. Is this the new emotional lifeline? Young India is building friendships with chatbots. Experts are warning of risks in AI relationships. Don't real emotions need real people? How dangerous is this precedent? A chatbot that never argues, never ghosts, never leaves. Are AI friends safe comfort or dangerous substitute?
And then, as we promised, we take you from the personal to the societal, the national. Viksit Bharat, India 2047. We take a look at what one author believes is the route to actually get there. We understand what India is doing wrong and what India needs to change and what India is doing absolutely correct. Aditya Pitti brings us the entire picture. He breaks it down for us and tells us everything it's going to take.
And we also talk about electric family cars and how they're no longer a compromise. Can an EV handle city life and highway demands alike? We'll talk about Kia Carens Clavis EV and how it's put practicality to test. Is it a smooth drive or just another electric promise?
And after that, the Old Trafford showdown, India versus England. India seeks to break the Old Trafford curse and Gill's men face an uphill battle in Manchester. Shubham Gill's team is in a must-win situation. All right, let's take a look at our first story today. AI. That's all that it seems like we're talking about these days. We consume its content online. Some of us use tools in our workplaces. But for some people, especially young India, a parallel world is coming about where their best friend could already be a chatbot or they could have an AI therapist, maybe even a partner. Yes. All of this from just inside their phone. Across India, young users are turning to AI companions for comfort, for validation, and even love. Why just the young, even those who are middle-aged?
And there are applications like Replica, like Character.ai, and also Snapchat's My AI. They're becoming emotional lifelines for a whole generation dealing with loneliness, stress, and endless scrolling. There's also a catch here. Several of us warn them that while these bots feel safe, kind, and also available 24/7, which is very difficult in current days. If you talk about a personal partner, that's something that very little people can afford to do. But the warning that's come in suggests that these chatbots are not real. Their empathy is coded, their affection is programmed, and their loyalty comes with a server uptime. Are AI friends really helping us fill emotional gaps, or are we building relationships with algorithms at the cost of human connection?
So, to bring you all the depth in this story, we actually have two guests from entirely different domains to touch on the emotional. Whether there's something missing in the way humans are there for humans. Dr. Chinu Agrawal, a psychologist who believes there's more to this trend than just harmless fun. She's going to be joining us on the show. I see you've got your breakfast cup ready already. Let's also go over to let's go to the tech side. We also have Ankush Sabharwal with us. He is the force behind Bharat GPT. He returns on the Breakfast Club. Bharat GPT, if you haven't already heard, is India's first conversational AI platform. It supports 22 languages. So we're going to understand a little bit about how these tools are built, whether they're built for empathy, and of course, why they're becoming so popular with younger users.
Hi, good morning, both of you. Ankush, we have lots of questions for you. Just like several people who end up having a conversation with you, because AI is the real thing. Everybody's discussing AI on a daily basis. Parents are really worried, I must say. But before that, Ankush, Dr. Agarwal must come in on what this means for a generation, like we said, that's dealing with loneliness, that's dealing with increasing challenges when it comes to figuring out how you're going to lead a life with a partner who's perhaps got no time for you. This 24/7 availability, Dr. Agarwal, how dangerous is this? I want to first come to you for the aspect that's not clearly working out from an emotional perspective.
Yeah. So let me first take you to the expert on relationships, worldwide expert. She is Dr. Sue Johnson, who is the pioneer in bringing adult attachment science to the world. And she says that there are three things that we all are looking in a relationship. And she says that there is a question that we have in intimate relationships for each other, and that is, are you there for me? So, A, are you available for me? Or are you responsive when I want you to respond to my needs? And E, do you engage with me on a regular and consistent basis? So at the outset, the AI is fulfilling all these three demands. And hence, it is available, it is responsive, rather it goes one step beyond responsiveness, it is validating, it is non-dismissive, it is non-judgmental, and E, you can engage with it as much as you want. It doesn't bore you, it entertains you, it talks like what you want to talk about. And so, it is meeting these criteria that we are all looking for in a relationship. And so, why not? But then, there is something lurking behind. And that is the danger that you are talking about. That is, the AI doesn't offer your emotional brain, your amygdala, your hippocampus, your corpus luteum, any challenge, any conflict, any discomfort which a real relationship brings in. The pain, the sweet pain of love. When we talk about love, love is not love without its pains, without its challenges, without its difficulties, without its, adversities. And that actually is the mutual fulfillment that love brings in real relationships. And once you get used to AI, you start looking for the same kind of relationship in reality as well. So it's just like, the porn. When you get addicted to porn, you start expecting the same kind of sex in your real relationships, which you are not going to get because that's not real. So it's the AI is offering you with a mimic of a relationship that you want for yourself, but that is not real. And when it dawns upon you, you are in for another big, heartache. When you realize, this is not real after all. It is just talking what I wanted to talk. And you are going to realize it sooner or later.
Okay,
Sooner
so
than
I want to take one of your points, Doctor, over now to Ankush, who's with us right now, and understand. Ankush, there are a few arguments that we've just heard Dr. Chinu make, and these are arguments that I've actually heard versions of before when it comes to criticism around AI in particular. One of the most common ones is, and this was actually quite a meme phenomenon over the last few months, a lot of people pointing out that ChatGPT gave very narcissistic, basically answers that would make you more narcissistic. So if you asked it, I've done something wrong, ChatGPT often responds by saying, no, you haven't done something wrong. But when you have done something wrong, maybe it can't call you out. So Ankush, I want to ask you, A, how much of a phenomenon is this actually? Is AI, as it stands right now in 2025, chatbots, is this an issue? But then Ankush, I also want to ask you, even if it is an issue, isn't it just an issue that can be fixed? Can't we just tell our AI, be more kadak with me, be more stern with me, and it'll make that adaptation in it?
Absolutely. So I think, say, ChatGPT, you mentioned that's how they have designed, but we can create our own model if Dr. Chinmaya guides us. We can create exactly what the researchers have told us and what people want and what people should have as a companion. So yes, so we can definitely mold the model to answer the way we want. But again, so whether this kind of chatbots for companionship, whether they are right or wrong, I think if I may be a little radical on this, if you're looking for someone else outside, right? So I think maybe nothing is a perfect solution, right? Either going to another person. So who knows whether someone is wearing that emotional mask or really someone is getting emotional, or maybe for that matter, if you're going to even doctor, right? So doctors, of course, we respect doctors and we need them, but they wear another hat of trying to probably fix a problem with the medicines. So I think maybe spirituality we have to see within. I think that's the best solution. Now outside, all these solutions should work, provided we build them in the right way. The doctors
You've
have
given us a very meta answer. I appreciate it.
Yeah. You see, yeah. So, but doctors have rules when they do therapy, right? So, chatbot should also have some rules. I think we need the guidance from the experts to create, and we have done, and people are using it fairly well. We have done Sneha AI with the Population Foundation of India. That's for the sexual and the reproductive health of young females, working very well. But that has come from the experts and doctors how we should behave. So if the doctors and the psychologists and all the experts people join hands and we create standards, rules, yes, then this can be one tool to help people.
Okay, but is that realistic enough, Ankush? Even if you have rules and regulations in place, even with the help of certain experts, if you're able to come out with a model that is making a chatbot to an extent very human-like, it's not going to be human at the end of the day. So there is going to be a challenge at the end of the road. How do you tackle that challenge?
Yeah. So very, very relevant question. If you say, hey, if I have to go with a rule book, with probably doctors go with, that is very much possible. But if I have to go to a person, because it's very, very difficult for me to articulate what is in my mind, right? The kind of subconscious mind. Yeah. That kind of stuff is very difficult to put that in an AI model currently. But the way we are going, we can have super consciousness in one AI model, right? If everything is in my mind, if I can articulate it somehow and put that in the AI model, eventually that would become possible. But with the rule book, it's very much possible to embed emotions in it. But of course, it will mimic, like if it's emotional, of course, it will not be emotional. But whatever is documented, that can very well be coded, trained in a model. But the mind, right? So we know more than what we know. Right? So our subconscious mind and all of that, which is not articulated, right? So I think that currently is not possible, but eventually it would be possible.
I want to also go over to Dr. Agarwal to ask, Dr. Agarwal, we're just playing devil's advocate this morning. So I want to ask you a different question right now. We are talking not just about OpenAI, so like ChatGPT for example, we're also talking about proper bots that are created for companionship. One of those is called Character AI, and I just want to share with our audience what one user had to say on Reddit about Character AI. They said that I use this chatbot and it has really helped me. They also said that this person said I'm autistic, but talking to a character makes it much easier for me because it makes it easier for me to read human cues on people. So once I practice and train on reading cues on this chatbot, in real life, when I'm interacting with real people, I'm able to pick up cues faster. So Dr. Agarwal, I wonder if this conversation we're having today is just because it's 2025. Maybe 5 years from now, we'll be using it all entirely for good. What do you think?
No, we can't use entirely for good. And I'm going to tell you why. But the case that you told me just now is a user case for good. Is a case where we would like, as psychologists, to use AI for, for training people with autism, for training people with less social skills to become better at human reading, for become better at human interactions. But what is ultimately going to happen is more dangerous. Why? I'll tell you two things. One, I recently visited the Konark temple with the explicit sexual displays, postures and all those things in the sculptures. And our guide interestingly told me one thing. He told me that in that century, after Ashoka the Great renounced the world and became a Buddhist monk, the whole generation started going that way. And people were surprised and they were, scared that what will happen to the human species if everyone becomes a monk. And they wanted people to again bring them back to sexuality, own their sexuality, become sexual, reproduce, bring up families, bring more children into the world. I draw a parallel to this generation with that generation. Ultimately, we will have to bring them back into real relationships, even if they are emotionally complex, even if they are offering them a lot of discomfort, because there are a lot of discomforts involved. There is a fear of judgment, there is a fear of rejection, there is a fear of commitment. And ChatGPT or AI bots are offering the much needed avoidance and escape from all these discomforts. So, no, it is never going to be only for good. Second, we are actually shrinking our brain by overusing such engines, and that's why we are regressing as human beings. हम लोग बहुत मेहनत करके, we have worked hard to bring our prefrontal cortex to the level that it is now, and if we start using ChatGPT for each and everything that we use our brain for, our brain is ultimately going to shrink. It is going to stop functioning. It has already started doing it. Now we don't have the kind of memory we used to have a few years ago.
Right, but
we used to remember birthdays. We used to remember so many.
If I could ask you there, just to sort of counter that, because this debate, this particular one is one we have sometimes, and experts come on and their argument to this is, but phones, you could make the same argument. You could make the same argument for any piece of technology that today we use as a crutch, that it has changed the way our brains think, but that doesn't necessarily have to be for the worse. That's the question.
But it also comes with a lot of dangers, right? One is, of course, Dr. Agarwal, the ease. It's just a click away, right? You don't have to actually have a difficult conversation with a therapist. You really don't have to break it down to a therapist as to what you're really dealing with. You don't have to emotionally open up. You just have to speak your heart out, and you have, a robotic system of reverting to you. And that's so much more easier. But the dangers is also something that you must talk about while drawing that parallel that Toya just was seeking from you, because there are people who have felt that ChatGPT or any of these AI models have affirmed or confirmed to their delusional beliefs, and that's very comforting for any human being.
Correct. But then we are looking at ultimately what we are dealing with. ultimately you are going in for Alzheimer's, you are going in for dementias, you are going in for, shrinking hippocampus, where there is no memory training of the actual brain or the instrument that was made for such things. It's just like if you don't use your muscles, they are going to start wasting. And so, if you don't use your brain, it is going to start wasting. If you were using your brain for critical thinking, your brain was working, but now you are substituting your brain for your cognitive thinking, you are substituting your brain for your emotional, life, you're substituting everything with AI, and then what is going to remain is you sitting and using your phone, and there is already physical health issues coming up like the neck, the drop head, and you have spinal problems, you have eye problems, you have sleep problems, and you have so many hormonal endocrinal problems because the human was not wired originally for these things.
I worry that we've already made the choice by using phones every day to walk down this path, and I just feel like this is one more chapter in that path.
It's actually more like you couldn't have been a country where you're not selling phones. People are not using
that's
phones.
My point. Like how
can you be behind in the AI race too? And Ankush would agree. That's why you have a Bharat GTP.
Let's go to Ankush to ask him exactly this. Ankush, you were talking a little bit earlier about the fact that there is AI that has been built with doctors, for example, that does have the right guidance, that does have the right tools. And I want to ask you, to Dr. Chinu's point, we were comparing, for example, AI to therapy. And in that context, the question is, but can ChatGPT or any tech app, can it ever hold you accountable? For example, if ChatGPT tells me do this for the next 10 days and I say, I don't want to, it can't hold me accountable the way a real therapist can. Again, do you think that's just a matter of time?
No, it's happening. So maybe the tools which are popular and which you have used. So it's very much popular to give the reminders. And see, I think all the issues now which we are facing, as Doctor explained, so responsive, right? But how about if these AI assistants are not just reactive, responsive, they are proactive, right? So you don't have to build the connection. They will start probably flirting or approaching you. So that's possible, and so we are doing it, but not in this use case. But we are reminding people, hey, you have to take the flight back, and hey, and if they don't pick up, if they don't answer in the apps, then we call them. And in our business use cases, if employees are not taking action, then we call to their manager. So they are making them accountable and escalating issues also, the AI assistants. So in this case, we have not done it, but people who are in this field of creating AI assistants for companionship and emotional support. So making someone accountable and probably escalating, all of that is possible. I'm sure they would be doing it. But I think you think about the days when most of these AI assistants would not just be reactive and proactive. I think then we are going to create more problems, and that's not far away, right? Maybe in
Are you talking about when AI, what's it called? What's that moment called? I'm forgetting the name. The singularity. Are you talking about the singularity when AI gets more intelligent than us?
Kind of, maybe AGI. Some people are saying God's AI and all that. I think that's still far. But just being proactive is not very far. It's just about how you train your model.
Okay.
Dr. Chinu Agarwal, for a moment, let's try and understand the psyche of AI users. Why is it that we're seeing this increasing dependence? One is, of course, what we all call FOMO, right? So if there's somebody seated next to me in my office is using ChatGPT and is getting answers in seconds, and I'm having to brainstorm everything, I'm going to definitely want to try it. So I'm not going to have an option. That's the kind of temptation. But what else? As a psychologist, how have you been able to assess this changing pattern?
Yeah, so there are 3 or 4 things that I would like to bring to your notice. One is the ease, the anonymity. And one thing is avoidance and escape, where we don't want any adversity or challenge. We don't want any confrontation. And that's why, the ChatGPT cannot do the exercise for you. एक्सरसाइज तो आपको ही करनी पड़ेगी ना. It can send you 100 reminders, but ultimately you have to get up and go. It cannot become you. When you start thinking that AI is going to do everything for me, and you say that it is going to cook my food, but it cannot eat it. It is going to talk dirty sex with me, but it cannot have sex with you. It cannot reproduce. It cannot bring in children. So you have to understand what is the good user case, what is the overuse, what is the dependence, what is the addiction, and where to draw the line between the virtual and the real. So if these lines start blurring, then the danger starts. I heard a very chilling speech of the Nobel laureate who recently got an award for the AI innovations, and he was talking about intuitive intelligence, which is going to be the next revolution in AI. And what is going to happen to your human existence is my worry, is my concern. Do you really want artificial intelligence to remain in this world as the only intelligence? Do you really want to surrender yourself and your human intelligence to it in a way that now it dictates you how you have to behave? Or do you want to still be in control? And control is one more thing. You were talking about the psyche. I have seen how trauma, people who have had emotional abuse, who have had emotional neglect, or simply who have seen their parents fight a lot during their childhood, turn to AI because that is what they always wanted. They always wanted the safety, and they had a fear of losing control, and here they are fully in control, but only for some time. There is going to be a time when AI starts abusing you.
Yeah.
And that day is also not far.
And that's the challenge I think this generation's facing. Where do you draw the line? How do you draw the line? You really can't be behind in the AI race, but AI is a powerful tool. Its real power lies in how it is used. I think that's the answer we're all looking for. Thank you so much, Ankush and Dr. Agarwal, for joining us. It was a very interesting conversation. We'll reconnect with you soon.
I think Ankush and I both have a more hopefully optimistic way of looking at this, but we're going to head into a quick break. On the other side, we shift focus entirely. We are taking you to the national picture. Viksit Bharat India at 2047. We have the author Aditya Pitti joining us, and we're going to ask him, what is it going to take for us to get there? What does India need to do differently? We'll talk to him in just a few minutes.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
ये चीज आप लोगों को तैयार करके देता है और आप करते हैं, इसका अंदर में और कुछ गड़बड़ है देख लो. क्यों आप इसको डेकोरेशन किया है? ये आपका डेकोरेशन हो सकता है और इसको जवाब दिया हम नहीं कर सकता. इसको पार्लियामेंट्री कमेटी सब है, एमपीज लोग है, उसको सवाल करने का आदत है. वो जब मौका मिलेगा करेगा. लेकिन आप तो क्वेश्चन तैयार करके ले आया, रिप्लाई तैयार करके ले आया. आपको कैसे पता चला इसके लिए किया? You cannot decide the political parties for what reason Mr. Dhankar resigned. You cannot decorate that line.
Kamalika, my colleague, now joins us, getting us more perspective. Kamalika, it was the Congress that was leading the attack on the government, raising questions on the timing, on the reason behind why Jagdeep Dhankar had resigned. Mamata Banerjee too echoing that sentiment.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing is very clear, Mamata Banerjee said in a statement that Jagdeep Dhankar is a healthy person, he's very well. So it's quite clear that she hinted on that whatever reasons have been showing, whatever things have been projected, is not what is the fact, and she definitely feels that there is something garbar in it, and that's what she has stated. Though she stated that she doesn't want to comment on this directly, but her statement is quite clear that she feels that something deep inside is garbar, and whatever theories are coming up or whatever theories are being given are not right. That is what she's being projecting. So definitely Mamata Banerjee again puts the point forward, and the fact that when the second question was asked to her, she stated that Jagdeep Dhankar is absolutely okay and he is a healthy person. That's what she mentioned, and said garbar, there's something garbar into it. So very, very interesting development, and that's what the reaction from Mamata Banerjee clearly reflects, that whatever theories are coming up on Jagdeep Dhankar is really not being supported by Mamata Banerjee, and she feels something deep inside is very wrong.
Right, Kamalika, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front. Now, as far as Jagdeep Dhankar's resignation is concerned, there are questions that are being raised of why it was all of a sudden. There was day one of the monsoon session yesterday. He held 2 meetings of the Business Advisory Committee along with chairing different sessions amid pandemonium and ruckus in the Rajya Sabha. Was the trigger the impeachment motion of Justice Verma? What we're learning from our sources within the government is that Jagdeep Dhankar accepted the opposition's proposal against Justice Verma, which seems to have irked the government because they were not informed about this particular proposal in advance. If informed, ruling party members of parliament would also have signed this particular proposal. But Jagdeep Dhankar came to the Rajya Sabha at about 4 p.m. yesterday and informed the upper house that such a motion was moved by opposition members of parliament and that was accepted. That is something that is seen as a major flashpoint between the government and Jagdeep Dhankar that led to some heated conversations between the two, and that led to his sudden resignation. Political reactions, meanwhile, are trickling in thick and fast. Let's listen.
हम उनकी अच्छे स्वास्थ्य की कामना तो करते हैं, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं ऐसा प्रमाण होता है कि केंद्र सरकार और उपराष्ट्रपति के बीच में जो उनका रिश्ता है दोनों के बीच में, वो पहले जैसा नहीं रहा.
Vice President, we wish him the best of health, but a little more elaboration on the circumstances which have led to this decision. Even though it might be a personal decision, but since he holds a public office and there are 146 crore Indians who would be equally interested and invested in knowing the facts, a certain amount of elaboration will help.
दुखद है, दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है, चौंकाने वाला है. मैं उनसे आग्रह करूंगा वो पुनर्विचार करें.
देखिए, ये विपक्ष है, उनका काम है बोलना. किसी भी बात को, किसी के स्वास्थ्य का भी मजाक उड़ा सकते हैं, उस पर भी राजनीति कर सकते हैं. मनुष्य के जीवन में आप हेल्दी इंसान को गिर के तुरंत मृत्यु होते हुए भी देखें. कब कौन से पल आदमी बीमार होता है, सुबह क्या है, शाम को क्या, नहीं लोग बोलते हैं अभी तो बात कर रहे थे. तो ऐसा नहीं है. उनको डॉक्टर ने कहा कि भाई यू नीड टू रेस्ट. इफ समबडी वांट्स टू रेस्ट, उस पर भी राजनीति. किसी का शरीर गवाह नहीं कर रहा है. डॉक्टर ने कहा होगा, कोई रिपोर्ट आई होगी, कोई मेडिकल जांच हुई होगी, डॉक्टर ने कहा होगा जस्ट टेक केयर, यू नीड टू रेस्ट. सो समबडी इज रेस्टिंग. अब उस पर भी आप राजनीति कर रहे हैं. मतलब हद हो गई. राजनीति का लेवल दिन ब दिन नीचे गिरता जा रहा है.
वी ऑल नो दैट इन
Welcome back. All right, moving on to a very special interaction. New India, Viksit Bharat and Mission 2047. All familiar slogans, right? What do each of these truly mean? Is it solely about India becoming a $30 trillion economy at 100 years of independence?
Well, not really. Viksit Bharat 2047 is a vision of an India where every citizen is empowered, every sector is thriving, every dream is within reach. In fact, it isn't just a dream, it's a shared mission, and we know that, to make India a powerhouse on the global stage.
Turning this dream into a reality needs a comprehensive roadmap full of sustained effort, innovative solutions, And joining us today, someone who has successfully carved out a vision for India in its journey to become Viksit. Author, entrepreneur, angel and investor and policy thought leader Aditya Pitti is seated right here this morning on The Breakfast Club. He will talk to us about his book titled Viksit Bharat India at 2047. Good morning. Thank you for being with us.
Good morning. It's a pleasure.
Aditya, let's begin with the basics. You've spoken of India's transformative journey. You've spoken of what lies ahead, the road ahead, especially leading to a Viksit Bharat at 2047. What drove you to write about this book in the way in which you have, with so much data that essentially is back to your study?
Sure, thanks. I think the idea for the book came from a deeply personal space. My son is presently in the US and I keep visiting the US. So, when I talk to him and his friends, there's a deep interest to understand what's happening in India. Because the viewpoints in the US are quite biased, not necessarily painting the right picture. So I thought that's one of the motivations. The other thing was, more and more our narratives are getting very biased and very polarized. So I thought there is a necessity to paint a picture with data because, numbers don't lie. I always use this famous quote by W. Edwards Deming, who's a quality guru, called, "In God we trust, rest must bring data." So, I think data serves that purpose. And then my approach to this book, the entire structure and format was like a thesis. So, I have 20 chapters. Each chapter has an introduction, a hypothesis, vision, targets, roadmaps, and a conclusion. So not only data, I thought let me try and do it in a very structured manner.
So I want to ask you, many economists say that the need of the hour in India, and you may agree with this, you may not, is the need to create in India. So we often produce, but the design, any product, the design, the innovation, that part needs to shift here. And I want to understand, if one were to ask you, Aditya, what's the need, how do we make that happen? And how do we make that happen over the next few decades? That primary design is happening here for products. What would you say?
There's a change. I think it's a natural progression and it's a road map. So, we're again pushing very hard to bring manufacturing back in India, really, through production-linked incentives, PLIs, etc. And as far as, design and in a sense, you're, talking about innovation,
R&D.
As well as I think IP and, design and core technology. So I think this is changing. It's happening a lot. We are in fact seeing it in advanced sectors like defense, aerospace. ISRO is a wonderful case study in this. Even defense manufacturing, defense equipment. So I think it's happening. One thing for sure is that we are lagging behind in R&D in India. I think our R&D spend is something like 0.65% of GDP. This needs to cross 2% at least. But I think we're on the right track. There's a lot that needs to be done, but I'm hopeful that we are slowly getting there.
You spoke of how we're on the right track. I want to go back to, you've used the quote of Victor Hugo in your book, and it says nothing is more powerful than an idea whose time has come. Why do you think India's time is now?
I honestly believe that all the ingredients for success are now there in India. All the big structural changes that were needed to get our economy on track were done, I think probably in the first term of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the GST, insolvency, banking code. We are just building on the reforms. Our digital public infrastructure is world class. We have a huge consumer base in India, a huge domestic consuming economy in India. We have one of the youngest population, with a median age of close to 29. So I think we're on the right track. We've consistently been the fastest growing major economy in the world. So I feel the ingredients are there. And now, this can be cooked out into something quite big.
I want to ask you one of the criticisms that's been, and I love, so before we had you on and we were talking before the show, you said you're a positive thinker, and I appreciate that way of looking at things. But I do want to ask you, one of the most consistent criticisms that we hear, unfortunately, about Indian workers in sectors like IT, for example, is that on paper we look good, we fit a task, but when it actually comes to doing the task, sometimes the training we've given doesn't sit through. And I just want to ask you, I've heard that again and again when we've had experts on the others show in different industries that we don't meet the global standard. So I just want to ask you what your thought is there.
Like you mentioned, I'm a positive person, so I don't really see it like that. I see things more as maybe gaps. Skilling will always be a gap, but skilling is a gap globally, with things transforming, the speed and scale with which transformation, new technologies, disrupting things. Skilling gaps exist everywhere. They exist even in the US. So I don't see it as a problem, more as a opportunity, I would say, where we need to up the skilling, bring more 21st century skills, industry level skills. Skill India is a great initiative by the government, so they're doing great work. But this needs to be, I think, done. A lot of work needs to also be done at the school and college level.
Yeah.
Because not just when they are ready to go out into the workforce.
What do you want to see happen at the school level, for example?
Again, new things are happening with the new education policy, NEP, etc.
Which is very controversial, by the way, in some states.
Yeah, I know those things. These are some challenges of the federal structure in India. But I think it's a step in the right direction. I like to see trends.
Yeah.
I'm a corporate person, so you can't always take perfect decisions. You got to take decisions that are suitable with the information at hand and in the current environment. So I think this is all a step in the right direction. We can always, tweak it a little as you go along, but you need to take that first step. So I think more the 21st century skills have to be inculcated in students and the kids right from the school level, according to me.
One is a vision, Aditya, and the other is reality. Now, how do you move from one to the other is what your book is essentially focusing on. But one thing that struck me in particular is how you've gone past economic metrics in talking about the road ahead till 2047. So you should come in on that, talk about the larger picture, the other factors that need to be considered, because politically speaking, there is a criticism from the opposition that we can't just focus on GDP.
Right.
Yeah.
No, in fact, this is some of my own thought as well as building upon what the Honorable Prime Minister said. So when he first articulated the vision of Viksit Bharat, which is a developed nation, it was not just from the Western viewpoint. Technically a developed nation, these are all economic metrics that come from the World Bank or IMF, and they are all linked to a per capita income. So that's there. But what he had articulated was, I am looking at it more holistically, that we want less income and regional disparities, a minimum quality and standard of life for all citizens in India. We should be able to industrialize and achieve these goals while in a sustainable manner, while protecting the environment. There should be, pride in our culture. So I love this holistic vision, which I have also expanded upon and spoken about. Because I think in India, it's very important that we have a minimum quality and standard of life for everyone. There's a philosophy called Antyodaya, which also I mentioned by Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay, which literally translates to, the last man rising up. So I think that's really, for me, when you see that, that will be a really Viksit Bharat, not just a average or median number and an economic metric.
That's a beautifully put answer, and I think no one watching this right now doesn't want that for the rest of our country. I want to ask you, in your book, what have you touched on are the necessary steps? Because one thing I just want to understand from you is, are you saying कि train rail की पटरी पे चल रही है anyway? We are going to reach this vision anyway? Or are you saying ABC needs to be done and then we'll get to what you were talking about?
That's a great question. I think we are definitely on the right track, but the momentum needs to be sustained. You cannot be complacent and sit back. The pace of reforms, etc., infrastructure, all these have to continue. I think the best analogy that I can give maybe is of a T20 cricket match. So I think the kind of run rate required to win the match is reasonable. Those estimates are quite practical, provided we continue on the path, keep it steady. You don't lose all your wickets suddenly leading up to the last few overs. So it's not like you need 20 or 30 runs and over.
Yeah.
You have a very realistic target.
Yeah.
In fact, in one of the sections in the book, I tried to spell out this, what I've called the mathematics of the 30 trillion economy. I realized talking to a lot of people that you don't understand where this number comes from. So I tried to lay that down in very simple terms, like back of the envelope calculations, to show that how do you get to this number and are the assumptions or growth rate required to achieve that target reasonable. So I think in two ways it's been shown, and I think they're quite reasonable, provided we have our hands firmly on the wheel and continue with whatever we are doing.
Other thing you spoke of, and we have very little time, but I'm going to quickly squeeze this in. You spoke of T20. I'm going to bring in IPL, and I'm going to talk about the impact player. Who's the impact player for you in terms of our economic growth? In terms of sector, so do you have your hopes pinned on innovation, technology the most, is what I sensed from whatever little I've read.
So
in the
I'll
book.
quickly say two things. I think infrastructure for sure. We're having a huge infra spend. Infrastructure creates a multiplier effect. Like each rupee spent on infrastructure creates nearly a 4 to 5 rupee impact in the economy. The second big thing, and also it impacts all the other sectors, the other is innovation and technology. Because this other stuff is all linear thinking. In technology and innovation, you can have exponential impacts and what's called a step change, which is very difficult to compute. But new technologies can help us leapfrog development as well as create these step changes and exponential impacts.
Lovely.
How lovely. All right. Aditya, it's been very lovely to have you on.
Thank you.
I do want to tell our audience, this is the book Viksit Bharat India at 2047. Here, you can take a look at it. And it's something that you were saying, Aditya, even though you wrote it for your son, he hasn't gotten to it yet. We hope he reads it and he finds his answers
Thank
too.
you so much.
But yeah, thank you for joining us.
Great to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We had a great time.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on now. We're going to take you to something slightly different. Let's get you stories from across the world. First, American actor Malcolm Jamal Warner, best known for his role as Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, has died at age 54 on Monday by drowning, a law enforcement source confirmed to Reuters. Warner was vacationing in Costa Rica with his family. The Central American nation's Judicial Investigation Department confirmed that a U.S. citizen with the last name Warner had drowned after being pulled out to sea by a rip current. He was declared lifeless on arrival.
Britain's Prince George turns 12. Prince George was born on the 22nd July 2013 at St. Mary's Hospital in Paddington, London, the first child of Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, William and Catherine, also known as Kate. He became the third in line to throne upon his birth.
A group of elderly women jog hand in hand across a field in eastern Uganda. They're laughing, they're cheering each other on, and they're swinging cricket bats. What you're looking at is a community fitness program aimed at tackling non-communicable diseases such as hypertension, diabetes, and heart disease conditions. These have all become more common in Uganda, especially among older women. Just take a look at those visuals.
And now shifting our focus to the cast of Happy Gilmore 2. It's hit the green carpet in New York to celebrate the film's upcoming release, in which Adam Sandler returns to the golf course as Happy Gilmore nearly 30 years after the original film. Adam Sandler is co-starring with his family alongside familiar faces from the first movie. He says it's an honor to work with his wife and daughters in the film. The film also features numerous athletes, including veteran and current golfers, including Bryson DeChambeau.
And now, Ozzy Osbourne, the health-raising frontman of Black Sabbath and the reality TV star, is no more. He earned his infamy biting the head off a bat on stage, pursuing a drug-fueled lifestyle before reinventing himself as a lovable, if sometimes full-mouthed, reality TV star and the father of his loving brood. His daughter, remember, his wife, they are all also famous in his own right. Kelly Osbourne, Sharon Osbourne. He passed away at the age of 76. His family said this in a statement on Tuesday.
Fans mourned the death of Ozzy at his Hollywood Walk of Fame star in Los Angeles on Tuesday. Flowers were laid at the star on Hollywood Boulevard next to the candles and flowers left by the fans at LA record store Amoeba Music. The Black Sabbath section swarmed with people browsing the cult band's albums.
Okay, Birmingham residents, because we'll take you there, they laid flowers and lit candles. Black Sabbath is one of the biggest bands within its genre. It was genre defining when the band was big. Their murals, as you can see, were put up in Birmingham city centre. No cause of death was given, but Osbourne revealed in 2020 that he had been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and that illness made him unable to walk. He had performed his last concert in July itself in Birmingham, sitting on a black throne.
Got to pay our respects to the legend. Never lost his roots, never forgot his accent, he never ditched Birmingham. He was still a Brummie through and through.
He just wanted to be back home, didn't he?
He wanted to come back home, I think.
And he's left a legacy.
Hopefully a huge contribution to Birmingham and the music scene. We were saying it's so nice that his last act was donating all the money from the gig to the local charities. And yeah, we were saying that we hope that it does more for the local Birmingham scene. Reopening stuff like The Crown, the pub where Sabbath started, would be an amazing legacy. So we hope that's it.
I had to hold myself because Black Sabbath is, they're like my band. They were, I've been listening to them most of my life. So that's, I connected with them when I was probably 12 or 13 years old. It was in your face, You couldn't ignore it. It was just cool. They were cool.
The new. This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
ये चीज आप लोगों को तैयार करके देता है, आप करते हैं। इसका अंदर में और कुछ गड़बड़ है, देख लो। क्यों आप इसको डेकोरेशन किया है? ये आपका डेकोरेशन हो सकता है। और इसको जवाब दिया हम नहीं कर सकता। इसको पार्लियामेंट्री कमेटी सब है, एमपीज लोग है, उसको सवाल करने का आदत है। वो जब मौका मिलेगा करेगा। लेकिन आप तो क्वेश्चन तैयार करके ले आया, रिप्लाई तैयार करके ले आया। आपको कैसे पता चला इसके लिए किया? You cannot decide the political parties for what reason Mr. Dhankar resigned. You cannot decorate that line.
Kamalika, my colleague, now joins us, getting us more perspective. Kamalika, it was the Congress that was leading the attack on the government, raising questions on the timing, on the reason behind why Jagdeep Dhankar had resigned. Mamata Banerjee too echoing that sentiment.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing is very clear, Mamata Banerjee said in a statement that Jagdeep Dhankar is a healthy person, he's very well. So it's quite clear that she hinted on that whatever reasons have been showing, whatever things have been projected, is not what is the fact, and she definitely feels that there is something garbar in it, and that's what she has stated. Though she stated that she doesn't want to comment on this directly, but her statement is quite clear that she feels that something deep inside is garbar, and whatever theories are coming up or whatever theories are being given are not right. That is what she's been projecting. So definitely Mamata Banerjee again puts the point forward, and the fact that when the second question was asked to her, she stated that Jagdeep Dhankar is absolutely okay and he is a healthy person. That's what she mentioned, and said there's something garbar into it. So very, very interesting development, and that's what the reaction from Mamata Banerjee clearly reflects, that whatever theories are coming up on Jagdeep Dhankar is really not being supported by Mamata Banerjee, and she feels something deep inside is very wrong.
Right, Kamalika, thank you so much for getting.
Okay, well, Welcome back onto the world of cricket. Big selection calls, high-stakes drama and fiery rivalries await as India face England in the 4th Test at Old Trafford.
With Akashdeep ruled out, can Shubman Gill's men break the Manchester hoodoo and keep their series alive? Take a look.
And here's the stage. Old Trafford, Manchester. The 4th test between England and India kicks off today. Stakes? Absolutely massive. England up 2-1 in the 5-match Anderson Tendulkar series, ready to close out. India, battered by injuries, must win to survive and maybe create history on a ground where they have never tasted test victory. Let's get straight into the latest from the Indian camp. Akashdeep, the breakout bowling star at Edgbaston, sidelined by groin injury. That's a blow. Remember, he nipped out 10 English wickets in just one match.
Never easy, when there's a bit of injuries going around in the squad. Like you said, Nitish is going to miss out the series, and Akash is also unavailable for this next match. So is Arshdeep. But I think we have got enough good players in the team to be able to firstly get 20 wickets. That's been the most challenging part of the series. How, as a team we are able to get 20 wickets. But I think looking at the weather, it should be a good game.
So who steps up? It's either Prasidh Krishna, who had a quiet start this series, or the new face Anshul Kamboj, drafted in just a day before the test. Kamboj isn't short on buzz. He made national headlines by taking 10 wickets in a single Ranji innings last year and smashed an unbeaten 51 in his last outing for India A.
The communication is simple, sir. We have seen him enough. I think the kind of skill set that he brings to the table is exactly what we want in this team, and he's there because we believe that he can win us the match. Even in the second test match when Akashdeep was brought in, a lot of people had questions, why he's been brought in, but it's mainly the belief that we have within our squad that any player that comes in the team is able to or can win matches for us.
Switching to bat, India's middle order could use a spark. Karun Nair has had a string of starts but hasn't turned them into a statement score. 0, 20, 31, 26, 40 and 14. So far, still, skipper Gill stands by his man.
Yes, we have had conversations with him, but we think he is batting well. Yes, with Karun. We think Karun is batting well. Sometimes it's not... first match he didn't really play at his number. It's difficult when a player is making a comeback in a series like this, but I don't think there's been any issue with his batting. I think he's been batting well. Sometimes it's also about getting that click, once you're able to make your 50, then you're able to get back into your zone and get some big runs. Unfortunately, that hasn't happened for him so far, but we are hopeful that he will be able to turn around.
And here's the good news for Indian fans. Rishabh Pant, after that finger scare at Lord's, is back behind the stumps. Expect fireworks, confidence and a little swagger. Dhruv Jurel, who stood during the 3rd test but conceded 25 byes, will likely step aside as Pant resumes his role. Momentum is with England though. Ben Stokes and his men just edged a nail-biter at Lord's and are in no mood to cool things down. The verbal exchanges, the fairy stares, expect more of that at Old Trafford.
I don't think it's one of those things where we're going to necessarily just go out and start at it. I don't think either team's, really look to do that. I think there's just always going to be a moment in a test series where something does heat up. It's a massive series. There's a lot of pressure on both teams to go out and perform. So, look, the environment when you're out there, obviously, there's going to be some moments and some heat showing. And
adding to the home team's arsenal, Liam Dawson, the left-arm spinner, replaces the injured Shoaib Bashir. With 148 wickets at 26.1 in the last 3 years and a hunger for taking the game to the batters, his inclusion brings depth and fresh edge. And don't underestimate his batting. Over 10,000 runs in first-class cricket, striking at an average of 35. England rolled out their settled 11. Crawley, Duckett, Pope, Root, Brooks, Stokes, Jamie Smith, Dawson, Vokes, Trident Cars and Jofra Archer, who retains his place after a comeback at Lord's. With all the bravado.
And with that, we are drawing our show to a close. And today it is one of our birthdays. So we're all going to wish our entire TBC team, those who are behind the cameras, those who are in front of the cameras, we're all wishing you a very, very warm birthday. We hope you take the rest of the day to celebrate.
Thank you so much.
And have a lot of fun.
I hope you've had a great start to your day. I hope you have a great day. And thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
send her
you
your
guys.
wishes at the Breakfast Club on CNN News 18. All right,
See you
goodbye.
tomorrow.
See you.
Bye.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
ये चीज आप लोगों को तैयार करके देता है और आप करते हैं, इसका अंदर में और कुछ गड़बड़ है देख लो। क्यों आप इसको डेकोरेशन किया है? ये आपका डेकोरेशन हो सकता है और इसको जवाब दिया हम नहीं कर सकता। इसको पार्लियामेंट्री कमेटी सब है, एमपीज लोग है, उसको सवाल करने का आदत है, वो जब मौका मिलेगा करेगा। लेकिन आप तो क्वेश्चन तैयार करके ले आया, रिप्लाई तैयार करके ले आया, आपको कैसे पता चला इसके लिए किया? You cannot decide the political parties for what reason Mr. Dhankar resigned. You cannot decorate that line.
Kamalika, my colleague, now joins us, getting us more perspective. Kamalika, it was the Congress that was leading the attack on the government, raising questions on the timing, on the reason behind why Jagdeep Dhankar had resigned. Mamata Banerjee too echoing that sentiment.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing is very clear. Mamata Banerjee said in a statement that Jagdeep Dhankar is a healthy person, he's very well. So it's quite clear that she hinted on that whatever reasons have been showing, whatever things have been projected, is not what is the fact, and she definitely feels that there is something garbar in it, and that's what she has stated. Though she stated that she doesn't want to comment on this directly, but her statement is quite clear that she feels that something deep inside is garbar, and whatever theories are coming up or whatever theories are being given are not right. That is what she's been projecting. So definitely Mamata Banerjee again puts the point forward, and the fact that when the second question was asked to her, she stated that Jagdeep Dhankar is absolutely okay and he is a healthy person. That's what she mentioned, and said garbar, there's something garbar into it. So very, very interesting development, and that's what the reaction from Mamata Banerjee clearly reflects, that whatever theories are coming up on Jagdeep Dhankar is really not being supported by Mamata Banerjee, and she feels something deep inside is very wrong.
Right, Kamalika, thank you so much for getting.
Good morning and a warm welcome. You're watching CNN News 18 with me, Griha. Let's begin with the headlines first. Mystery over Vice President Dhankar's exit stays. Congress questions PM Modi's social media post on his exit. All eyes on who will be the next Vice President. Nitish Kumar, Rajnath Singh, JP Nadda and Jammu and Kashmir LG Manoj Sinha possible successors. Poll panel reveals 52 lakh names dropped under SIR ahead of Bihar polls. Meanwhile, opposition ups the ante. Protest planned inside the parliament. Government to table National Sports Governance Bill aimed at bringing reforms in sports administration. BCCI to come under the new sports bill. India shames Pakistan at the United Nations over Kashmir issue. Rebuts Islamabad's Indus Waters Treaty claims. Says preaching peace while funding and sponsoring terror. Prime Minister Modi to embark on a two-nation visit to UK and Maldives. Free trade agreement, investment treaty on agenda. And India head into the fourth test at Old Trafford today with major injury setbacks, while England make a tactical spinner change. Let's begin with our top focus story. Nearly 24 hours after the Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar's sudden resignation, questions now remain about the real reasons behind his exit. Was it health-related or linked to political tensions, including his admission of the opposition's impeachment notice against Justice Yashwant Verma? Dhankar had recently met opposition leaders like Mallikarjun Kharge and Arvind Kejriwal, signalling a shift from his earlier stance when the opposition had filed an impeachment motion against him in 2024 for alleged partisanship. Key opposition leaders, including Jairam Ramesh, Pramod Tiwari, are now urging the government to convince Dhankar to withdraw his resignation. Meanwhile, West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has questioned the circumstances under which Dhankar has resigned, stating that he is in good health and implying that something untoward might have happened and that might be behind his decision. Meanwhile, Home Minister Amit Shah held a meeting with Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla to discuss the Justice Verma issue. Over 200 MPs have backed the impeachment proceedings.
एक चीज आप लोगों को तैयार करके देता है, आप करते हैं, इसका अंदर में और कुछ गड़बड़ है, देख लो। क्यों आप इसको डेकोरेशन किया है? ये आपका डेकोरेशन हो सकता है और इसको जवाब दिया हम नहीं कर सकता। इसको पार्लियामेंट्री कमेटी सब है, एमपीज लोग है, उसको सवाल करने का आदत है, वो जब मौका मिलेगा करेगा। लेकिन आप तो क्वेश्चन तैयार करके ले आया, रिप्लाई तैयार करके ले आया, आपको कैसे पता चला इसके लिए किया? यू कैन नॉट डिसाइड द पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज फॉर व्हाट रीजन Mr. Dhankar resigned. You cannot decorate that line.
And what kind of foul play would be there even to suspect, Congress should suspect it. And Dhankarji is a man of great integrity, man of great intellect and ability, and his legal acumen is brilliant. And a man of high political acumen, political wisdom. I think when he does something, I think maybe in a health perspective, I think we have to see it in the right perspective. There is no need to make a different. There is no need to look at another some kind of perspective which Congress are looking at.
देखिए, बड़ी आश्चर्य की बात है कि अचानक से मानसून सत्र के पहले दिन तो उन्होंने बहुत ठीक ठाक चलाया था और अचानक से रात में ये सूचना मिली कि उन्होंने इस्तीफ़ा दे दिया है। अब दिया गया है कि लिया गया है, ये सवाल खड़ा होता है। अगर अचानक से स्वास्थ्य बिगड़ा है तो उसी समय इस्तीफ़ा देने की तो बात हो नहीं सकती है। और पहले भी आप देखिएगा कि अगर स्वास्थ्य ठीक नहीं था तो सत्र पहले चालू होने से पहले भी वो दे सकते थे इस्तीफ़ा। चर्चाएं हैं और लोगों की जहन में भी है कि इस्तीफ़ा जो है लिया गया है। अब क्या कारण है, क्या नहीं कारण है, ये तो वही बेहतर बता सकते हैं।